Give me 2 seconds here. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just ruined everything.
Well, we're recording, so.
Cool.
All right. That's it, guys. That's the end of the podcast.
My entire setup, literally just collapsed on itself. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Welcome back, Bandecdotes folks. You're tuned in to another episode of Bandecdotes. Did I say it twice? Hold on.
I don't know. I'm just dancing, man.
Yeah, just keep dancing.
I'm just dancing, man.
Welcome back, Bannock folks. You're tuned in to another episode of Bandecdotes, a podcast that holds it down for the underground sound here in Ontario, Canada. And we got a great one for you today. Like Steve Harvey say, let's do this. We got lots of cool local releases lined up, and we're going to be talking to Gordon Bombay a little bit later about their latest release. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you aren't already, make sure you're following us on our Instagram at Bandecdotes, Bandecdotes. How you been, buddy?
I've been good. I think we should just jump right into this stuff because we have a lot of music to cover, even though it's only been 2 weeks since we recorded, so.
I know, it's insane.
A shockingly interesting lineup on here, like a 10-song country album on here that I liked. So let's get into it. Do you want to introduce the first band?
First up, we have Bruiserweight. I definitely had a chance to tune into this band. They have their brand new demo that just came out on June 2nd. They're from Montreal. I really like this band. They were kind of terrorcore, but at times there was Comeback Kid vibes, and almost even the early Rise Against record, the first one that they put out. This was a cool. I enjoyed this Bruiserweight. What did you think about it? This was super cool.
Really liked it. And again, it was nice to hear another release with the classic demo sound. I'm glad bands are putting out demos again, in general. The vocalist reminds me of the vocalist of Have Heart in his delivery. He does those very big, dramatic yells. I wrote that they're the Fries Supreme of hardcore. They have moshy ass riffs. There's a bunch of breakdowns, big punk vibe. On the very first song, they just yell their own band name, which is just a key to my heart. So yeah, these guys are super sick.
Yeah, super cool. Really very old school kind of hardcore vibe. I got some TUI vibes at some points. All sorts of different flavors going on with this band. Really cool.
Yeah, so the next band, this was not one I was aware of at all. Cease put out a demo. This was right up my alley in terms of just super fast but sludgy stuff. Reminded me of the Gel album we reviewed not too long ago. Have you ever seen the movie Evil Bong?
Evil Bong? No, I haven't.
Evil Bong. Evil Bong's it's pretty self-explanatory, Phil. It's a movie about an evil bong. But this feels like it could be the soundtrack to it. It sounds so psychedelic but evil at the same time, and those vocals are the shriekiest. They're so high and shrieky. I don't have another word for it. I really like them, but I've definitely never heard quite a vocal delivery like that before.
Have you ever heard of a band called The Body? That's kind of similar vocal delivery, which was really shrieky. There was I don't know, this kind of Cease was super scary in the best way to it really felt chaotic all over the place. What I really enjoyed about this EP was the art. I think it matched the sound of it perfectly. The way that the word cease was spelled out was just kind of I don't know. It just, you knew what you were going to get into. Power violence. And then, of course, the gimmick with all the names. Un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq. That was quite clever. And yeah, I always love a band with a pun. in that
Yeah,
sense.
no. I even those old Chariot releases where they would do all that sort of like
Yeah.
it makes like telling people about your favorite song sort of weird when you know what I like back in the Chariot you're like, oh, you know, they
You.
yeah, or yeah, First is my favorite. Well, that's actually not bad, but like yeah, like those naming conventions, I like it. I think it, you know, shows more of like a thought towards the overall project than like a track by track sort of thing. And thinking about the whole release when they write their songs, they're not just writing like a track and then another track. Not that one way's worse than the other, but I appreciate, you know, when a release has like a very like consistent thought out sort of process, and you get that vibe throughout this whole release. It's like a menacing, scary experience. Very cool stuff.
Next up, we have Monk, which is a cool release with Dan and Ian Romano. And who else do we got in here?
The vocalist of Vicious Cycle, I believe it was.
Wow.
Yeah, so these guys are in LA now, I guess, which isn't something I was aware of. But what'd you think of this song?
This was super cool. Like just like old school dirty raw punk, you know, fuzz punk kind of thing. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it reminded me of like really, really early Attack, or wow. It reminded me of really early Attack in Black, right. And it actually reminded me of even their earlier band Dead Only Better. So it's super cool.
Yeah, I forgot that they were in Dead Only Better.
Shout out to Dead Only Better. Shout out to Dan Romano doing that thing where he'd get on his tippy toes and raise the mic too high for himself for some reason. And I just thought that was the coolest shit.
and this song, Nothing Matters, is, I think, a single off an upcoming release that they're doing.
I can imagine, yeah. It's like super fast. Like it's definitely like a lot more abrasive than what I was expecting it to be. But Dan and Ian are just like, they go into genres and they just, every time they touch one, they just do it so well. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
All right. Next on the list is the Paranormal EP from Midnight Tripper. This is like psychedelic heavy rock stuff. Yeah, what'd you think?
I was getting big Bronx vibes. I don't know if you're familiar with the band The Bronx. They're a really cool band.
Yeah.
Just kind of like rock with like a little punk edge to it. Maybe some early Annie Flag stuff. Maybe some southern like Maylene stuff, but like not quite Maylene. I really enjoyed this. This was super cool. And of course we have a mutual friend in this band. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Is Dan Post.
Dan, yeah,
is the vocalist.
Yeah,
he kills it. He does a great job doing vocals.
His vocals give me big, like, James Hetfield vibes.
Oh, cool.
Like, they really do. They just give me, like really well done, like, pristine sounding. Just that, like, oomph that he has in his voice. And the lyrics are so, like, it's like this weird, like, psychedelic, trippy storytelling stuff. I actually caught them at Warehouse when they just came through with Ivy Gardens, I believe, is the other band, and Lover's Teeth. That was a cool little show.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, they're a cool band. Dan's a hell of a singer. It just feels like genuine, like, heavy rock and roll music. So it's cool. I really like it.
Yeah, not like Clutch, but parallel in the sense of that.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely hear that as well. I wish them all the success in the world.
Yeah. Next up, we have Good Fuh Nothing, like Fuh, F-U-H, Nothing. I didn't really know much about this artist walking into it. This was like, you know, the best way to describe this is kind of like art rap. Reminds me of like Open Mike Eagle, some of the stuff that's like some of the deep artists on Rhyme Sayers label, like just really going for like the love of the project. Super cool stuff, ambient. What did you think of this? I think you're familiar with this project.
Oh yeah, I absolutely, first and foremost, I absolutely love this project. Yeah, so this is a close friend of mine and my brother as well's newest project. He's been at this for a very long time, very strong, like JPEG Mafia influence. It's kind of obvious. His production is really all over the place on this. Yeah, I'm just gonna go into it a bit because I really want to give this some love. He has such a great bassiness in his voice that he knows to utilize. The use of samples, especially in the first few songs, and the just how soaked in the samples everything sounds is so haunting and interesting. Like, it's genuinely not like anything I've ever heard. And then when you get to Fathom, this song reminded me of just like that, like, unfathomable sort of like massive abyss. I don't know, it just serves as a really interesting interlude. And then like the songs actually start getting like a lot more upbeat. Not upbeat, they're still like very like sinister sounding, especially the next one, but like the next song, Surface Level, has like very hypnotic production. It's like fuzzy and chaotic halfway through. It does like a big production switch. Wanker is a fucking fun-ass song. The flow on it reminds me of Ski Mask, the Slump God, straight up. Yeah. There's so much character in the vocals, and the production is crazy, too. And, like, normally in rap music, like, either the flow of the rapper will be so good that you're not paying attention to the production, or the production is basically carrying the rapper, you know what I mean? And you're just getting a really good beat and someone doing minimal work. Mm-hmm. He is so good at like really like having both things, and he does all his production and stuff as far as I understand. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, this is a completely out of the box style rap project. I listen to a lot of experimental rap. I'm very well versed in this space for the most part, I believe anyways. And I'm truly, genuinely blown away by what he's put out. Like, and to the fact that I've seen his growth is crazy. I genuinely think this project deserves to get like really big. I think he's punching way above his weight, and this might be like a crazy like claim to say, but I genuinely think if you got an EP like this in front of like the Needle Drop, you could get some serious attention on this, because I really think this is like genuinely something new. It's catchy. It's glitchy. It has a lot of character. I'm really excited to see where he goes with the set of EPs that he's promising after this, because I've always liked his music, but he's very artsy. Sometimes he's so artsy that I've said he gets in his own way, but he has hit such a beautiful balance here. For something this creative and this different, it is shockingly catchy in its delivery. So, I mean, yeah, shout out Good For Nothing, or Good For Nothing. This is genuinely incredible stuff, so keep up the good work. Incredible.
Next up, we have Stuck in Neutral, who I think are from Thorold, Thorough South, that sort of area, with their single Art of Disaster, which kind of came out a couple months ago, but again, we're always playing catch-up on Bandecdotes. Yeah, this was some super cool stuff. This was like, I don't know, I got with like A Day to Remember, Ghost Inside kind of vibes. You know when to mosh, you know when to fucking jump up and sing the chorus kind of song style. What did you think?
Yeah, it gives me big throwback vibes to like the I forget exactly how they termed it, but like the early 2000s new wave of American metalcore or whatever it was called, like Kill Switch and like, you know, those bands, you know, the big growly vocals happening, but then you have big clean choruses, bouncy metal riffs, all that good stuff. Yeah, this is just like some classic metalcore. So and I think it's done well. I think, you know, metalcore's kind of gone the way of being this like Deftones-y Linkin Park sort of thing. So I like hearing bands that, you know, still want to, you know, sound a little bit like a Darkest Hour or sound a little bit like Kill Switch. I think those bands have, you know, those bands nailed a just fun sound. So I'll take as much of it as I can get in 2023. Next up on here, we had Bad Egg's new song, Static Brain. This is like a big reverbed out, like punky song. The half of the song is like a intro that I didn't fully recognize, but it was like rumbling my subwoofer in a way that was like actually scaring the shit out of me. Like I was like, what are you guys doing? You're going to break my subwoofer. Knock it off. Yeah, cool song. Bad Egg. I think we've listened to another song of theirs in the past and done a quick review on it. They're like just like a big atmospheric fuzzy punk band. Cool stuff if you're into fuzzy punk and, you know, abrasive overdriven rock and punk. I check it out.
Yeah, hell yeah. And we mad love for the Bad Egg crew. We've played with them several times, and yeah, it's good. Glad to see that they're always staying active and doing stuff.
Hell yeah, brother. So next on the docket, How'd you come across this, Phil?
So a friend of mine, Shane, a good friend of mine, he's a good friend of the podcast. Shane recommended this to me. This artist is from the area, and I think moved out to Prince Edward Island. Maybe I think I got that right. This was new for me too. Someone said, "Hey, check this out." I'm always putting feelers out of, throw me new music, give me new Ontario vibes, and this was put on the docket. This is a country record, and I was listening to it in the car with Haley, and she's like, "I thought you didn't like country," and I was like, this is this is the playlist I'm listening to right now. This was really easy listening, kind of like Willie Nelson, like very, very slow vibes. It was great. The weather was great today, so like listening to this tune and kind of like the soundtrack with today was very fitting.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I first started it, especially because like it's not like subtle country. You know what I mean? There's like a slide whistle within the first few seconds, and like you're like, oh, I'm getting some good old country here. I genuinely liked quite a few of the songs on here. I really liked. I found I was really being drawn to like the ballad songs. Mm-hmm. Like the big sort of dramatic love songs on here. It's just like, again, it was really easy listening. And as someone who's like almost all of my exposure to country music has just been like pop country and boyfriend country and I guess, like, for me, I can actually see, like, why people get into these, like, subgenres of this type of music. There's some storytelling happening here. Like, it's got a very expressive voice. I really like the piano work all over this record. I really liked the ballads on this. Shout out David James Allen and his album By the Summertime.
Next up, we have Panic Line with their singles I Simply Exist and Magic Ball. This was giving me like late brand new vibes in their career, like just like this, like kind of like even maybe Modest Mouse, and like even maybe some of the new records that Taking Back Sunday is given, Menzingers, like this like folk punk, like I really enjoyed this. This was another easy listening couple tracks. What did you think of Panic Line?
Yeah, I liked it. It's like moody, twangy punk rock. The vocals, they have like a wobbly sort of like thing to them. They're like slightly lo-fi as well. Like I can't even explain it. It's not like lo-fi, but it's like something like the hi-fi's been turned down slightly on them. Yeah. I really like it. It's just like straightforward and good, like, not too abrasive punk music. It's catchy. It's really catchy. I listened to them a couple times, and when I walked away, like I still had like the choruses playing in my head and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely good stuff.
Doghouse Rose. Now, I love this, and you know what? We've said this before on the podcast. We have like a file that we're both looking at, and it's funny that you actually grabbed a little flavor that I was also getting. This, first of all, Jacob Sweater. This song was awesome. Amazing. Awesome. I loved it. It was very self-aware. The vocals reminded me of actually Claudia of Coheed and Cambria. That very high pitched, but also Distillers, Brody Dale of the Distillers, which you had written down that I'm seeing that, which is awesome. This was great. I really enjoyed this. This record isn't out yet. I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it is what it is. And Jacob Sweater. This was super cool, super fun, upbeat. Loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, no, exact same thing. This is upbeat, fast punk music. It gave me huge Distillers vibes. I'm sure they get compared to the Distillers constantly, but I mean, I think that's like super high praise because the Distillers are like an absolute classic for me when it comes to punk music. A band that I forget that I loved so much until hearing Doghouse Rose. Yeah. And yeah, I started with It Is What It Is, and I was like, oh, I love this band. Like, this is such a great, fast, explosive song. And then I went into Jacob Sweater, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this, okay, so I'm genuinely so excited to hear, like, the full release that this is gonna be on. Just a big sense of character to this band that you don't really realize is missing in a lot of music until you see it in a band like this, and you're like, oh my god, this is so like fun and like self-aware.
Shout out to the end, a little bit of a spoiler, but the way that they end it, like Master of Puppets, like the mustard.
The mustard.
Mustard.
So like, funny. It's so funny. It's the type of thing that like you would like do at the end of your song as a joke, and then all of you and your bandmates would all laugh, and then you'd move on with your life.
Yeah.
They put it in the goddamn record, and I love that. It's so sick. All right, so next up, Absorb put out their big doomy song Despair. This is a big menacing track. The guitars to me sound like big grinding gears, like that like chainsaw sort of guitar. What'd you think?
Yeah, menacing. That's funny that you say that. Menacing is the word that comes to mind. This is their first single off of a record coming out called Rot. Absorb have been around the block for a couple of years now, and it's good to see a band post COVID doing their thing still, because I know, COVID took a lot of us out. So here we are. We've got, I think, a new vocalist on the docket. Absorb. This is super heavy, crazy, chaotic. I could see this happening in like a horror movie where like an absolute kill scene is happening. Like it was just scary. Like it's funny that you say chainsaw. Like we could see Leatherface running down through the forest chasing somebody, and then like the kill happens to this song. Like that's what I was getting with it.
Yeah, this song specifically just has like not the genre grindy, like a literal grindy noise to it. It's really, really sick. Yeah, and I love how the vocalist has this like he's like both members of Despised Icon. But yeah, they have like a really good hardcore yell and a really good like thick fuzzy growl as well. So shout out you for having sick vox. Sick vocals, my guy.
Next up, we have Best Witches with their release, The Thrill Is Gone. Metallica core at its finest. Yeah. They're an Ontario band, but they really embrace the clean guitar, which is something that I always cherish when I hear in a hardcore song. I know that it's not super uncommon for it to happen, but when it does pop up, I'm always like, hey, here we go. Like, and especially done well, like in these tracks, super cool.
Yeah, no, the intro to this EP is like straight up like a Metallica intro, like the clean going into the like high gain afterwards. Yeah, this is like just like a thrash project through and through. But I like thrash metal, so I mean that works for me. Yeah, it's the type of music that makes you want to grow your hair to your ass and just do like hair whips. You know what I mean? Just super sick stuff. And I like how reverby the whole thing sounds. Yeah, very like dungeonous. So next up on the docket, Unfathomed put out a song called Flooded and Adrift, and I'm going to ask you what it sounded like, but to me, it sounded exactly like songs on Atreyu's first record.
Atreyu, The Bled, maybe Alexis on Fire. This was the music you and I grew up to.
Those really throaty, wet screams. Like, they're just so like that, like they're
not going to age well. Like, that voice is going to get torn up terribly. You're
going to blow that shit out, my guy. But like again, I haven't heard. It reminds me of the first Atreyu. I couldn't get the song "Ain't Love Grand" out of my head when I was listening to it. Like, and that's a good thing because like Atreyu aged like fucking milk. But my God, if those first three records by them aren't great records, like The Curse, the one that I'm talking about, Suicide Notes, Butterfly Kisses, and honestly, that album, A Death Grip on Yesterday, despite having some of the worst album art I've ever seen. Great album. Yeah, this reminds me of like, again, that big first Atreyu record, like big like choruses, classic throaty metalcore screams, breakdowns, harmony riffs, all that jazz, all that good stuff.
All that fun stuff. Next up, we have Torchical Sacrifice with Knuckle Cruncher. With this was absolute caveman music. This was just so pounding, heavy and fun and hilarious.
It's so funny. It's when I put it on, the name of the band just made me think they were going to be so like serious
and like grind and like.
And he's like, he just keeps yelling Knuckle Crusher like the whole song, like. Then, like, I can't remember the exact lyrics. I only got to listen to this song once because of time, and I was, like, out, so I had, like, my headphones in while I was doing it. But at one point during like a breakdown, he's talking about, he's like, use your fists and heels, or like something like that. Like, it's so fucking silly. I was like walking home with just like a big ass smile on my face while I was listening to this song. It's so sick.
Yeah, kind of like that band Idiot. That you recommended.
Yeah, but somehow I think this is even more just like it's leaning so hard into its knuckle draggingness, like pure caveman shit.
Caveman.
So the next single on here is from Truth Teller. Phil, how do I say this?
Owens.
Oats. This is like a Hall & Oates. So Truth Teller put out a song, I'm sorry for mispronouncing this, I believe called Owns.
Yep.
It's a big proggy, it's got synth all over it. Singer is like a big, I got some pipes on him. It's a really, I liked it. The synths in it remind me of like the menu music from Final Fantasy.
Cool.
Like, it's like very like sparkly and like doo 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 doo. Like, it's just so like all it's this was really cool. Again, I'm not like typically into proggy stuff too much, but this I found like compelling. And again, when the singer goes into like his higher refrain on like the choruses and stuff, just packs an absolute punch behind their voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was a super cool release. I really enjoyed it. Kind of, modern take on metalcore. Ow. Butters just bit me.
Did your cat bite you again?
Yeah.
Butters.
Really cool release. Really enjoyed this. Love when a good singer from the area can put out something cool like this. Like, I love when that happens. Next up, we have Gordon Bombay with their single Catalyst on their upcoming EP called Summer Nights. This was a great tune. This was like kind of like Flatliners, like early folk punk, maybe The Artist's Life, which was an old band from around here that's probably, a handful of people still know. Yeah, that like folk punk, maybe even still Menzingers again. Really enjoyed this, and we're obviously going to get into more of this band as we interview them when we get into them right next. But yeah, like this song was great. Chorus was super catchy. I had it stuck in my head for quite some time, and obviously Johnny, who is the drummer of the band, produced this track. So, even the whole EP. So, like this was exciting to listen to back to, because I know he's worked really hard on his setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vocal delivery. I always say this, but like, because it's like the only point of reference I have. It reminds me of the Front Bottoms. That like
Front Bottoms,
that like over the top, self-aware, like choosing not to sing in the most pristine way intentionally. I also love the background vocals all over this track. They're just like weird, like punky, like like weird. There's so many weird vocal decisions made that all amount to like filling in the sound so well. It's really hard not to have a good time listening to this band and like this song in particular as well. They have so much like personality behind them. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're very consistent, very good at writing. So yeah. I'm really excited to see them return and bless us with this new EP.
All right, let's jump into it and talk right to them. Well, welcome back, Bannock folks. We're here with Gordon Bombay. How you doing, guys?
We're good.
Good. Doing great.
Good. Yeah, it sounds super enthusiastic about that.
Great.
I did 6 hours of drywall today.
Oh my God! Why is that what you're doing these days, Johnny?
No, I'm still working on the studio in the basement.
Oh my God! You're just working on the studio. Yeah. We'll get in the studio into the basement, but wow, holy shit! You're just putting in a lot of work today. And yeah. Alex, you're in Toronto these days. Is that where you're living?
That is where I'm living. Yeah. Just managing a couple restaurants. So.
Holy shit, that's fucking fancy as fuck.
A little bit.
Oh shit, I don't mean to be cursing right away. Sorry guys. But that and the drive down here was good. I always hate getting out of Toronto.
Yeah, it actually wasn't bad, surprising. The one day there wasn't a crazy amount of traffic. It's normally the worst, but
there you go.
It wasn't bad.
There you go. And Drew, of course, our homie Drew. How you doing, buddy? Good. I can't really hear you so well. I don't know if you. So sorry. We can pick up right where we left off. Drew, how you been, buddy?
I've been okay. How about you, Phil?
Good.
How's fatherhood?
Oh, You know how fatherhood is.
We can
It's got
relate.
its ups.
We can relate on that.
It's got its ups and downs. It's
Oh,
got
yeah.
its fun. You know, Parker right now is teething, so it is. He's not having a great time himself.
No, that
but
sucks.
of course, you know. But we love, and he's growing so big, and he's gonna. Yeah, he's growing so big these days. And we, you know, shout outs to Drew for hooking us up. You gave us a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah,
you gave us some clothes, and I think
Every
you
now
gave
and then,
us some
Haley will post a
toys.
picture, and I'll be like, "That was ours." I'll recognize a sweater or something.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so, yeah, so glad to have Gordon Bombay on the show because the three of you individually, I mean, I have a history. And
Yeah.
before I think we could get into Gordon Bombay itself, I think I want to just lay some things out before we get right into it.
I was
Johnny,
literally saying before we started that Phil is weirdly deeply entrenched in the history of this band.
it's yes, I've got this like past with it. Like it's quite funny. Yeah, Johnny, let's pick up where we left off with you. Last time we were talking to you and you were on the podcast, you were playing with a different band.
Shot Down Twice. Yeah,
That's right.
That ended like 2 weeks after we did that interview.
No way.
Yeah, it imploded in on itself, and we've all gone our separate ways and in different bands, and worked out for the better.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear that, you know, moved on for the best. And like I said, you and I have known each other, I think, when Haley and I started dating my wife. And, like, this was, like, we're talking, like, 13 years ago. So it's
Way
always
back
good to
in the
see
day.
you in the loop and always playing music, especially with the band back together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, like, Johnny is in this band because of Phil. Because Phil was coming to our house to, like, audition to drum for us. And then he decided at the last minute, he was like, I'm not a good enough drummer for you guys. So I brought my friend Johnny.
Yeah, it was like a switcheroo. I brought this guy. I'm like,
Yeah,
He's
all
better
right.
than me.
The old bait and switch.
Yeah.
You know? Like, here, I could play drums for you. Just kidding. I got a different guy, but guess what?
That's
He's
like the
much
biggest
better.
baller move. It's like, sir.
But you know what, Johnny, you know, we've played and we've jammed together so many different times, and like, you know, I can always count on Johnny for just being into some sort of musical project.
Yeah.
Like, if music's involved, you can genuinely count him in, especially with your Highfield Studios, which is which you've got going in your basement, which you briefly already talked about. You've been working really hard on this space. Do you want to talk a bit about it?
Yeah, I have outgrown this room. It's like Highfield Studios started here like 5 years ago, and it's gotten to the point now where it's like I take everything out and I set up the drums. Then I take the drums down and I put the guitars in the place. And I needed more space. I had empty space in the basement, so over the past 3 years, I've been setting it up and insulating it and soundproofing it, and I've just finished drywalling now, and it's just like inching closer and closer to almost being done and having a proper studio in the basement.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Being able to cut that red ribbon and saying it's open for business. People though, like if are people wondering, they can reach out to you and record with you still, of course, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's like I've got a number of projects on the go. It's like I've been playing with Gordon Bombay, and the last few months we've been recording that record, and it's like I play in another band called Union Sons, and we've been recording, and at the same time, I've got my buddy Ryan, who like I record his stuff as well, and
Optional.
yeah, optional. It was like he recorded his record here.
Cool.
Bex.
So yeah, it's like, and then it's like I've got another side project called JD Bex, and we record all our stuff here. So it's like there's music that can be made here, and it's like in the coming months, it's like it'll be available to the public.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Love to
I
hear
mean,
that.
if you want a taste of it, Johnny's got stuff out now, and the first single from our EP is out, and we recorded that in this room. So it's definitely a
Catalyst.
functioning studio.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like that entire EP was done
Yeah.
in this room.
Wow. I
We
love
literally
that.
got back together just to like kind of jam and hang out after not playing together since like 2016, I think was our last show.
2016.
Yeah, and then we were like, well, what if we just like we'll write some new music. Let's lay down the old stuff because we had never done that and released it publicly or anything. So like, let's lay down the old stuff and see if it gets any traction, and then write some new stuff for an album later. And like, we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then the next morning, Johnny messaged us. He's like, all right, I laid down all the drums. Like, he just did it after we left. So it was pretty much a go from there.
Yeah, no, and like you said, you kind of just map that out. So these songs, have they always been in the pocket? Have you? How is writing an EP? How is recording an EP with these songs being so old? Like, did you have early demos of it that you could reference to, or was this something that you just? Oh, okay, so you had something you could reference to.
We recorded with a studio that we won't name that is a great studio, but not for the genre of music we were doing. I don't think he really knew how to capture that. Yep. So we had these like demos that we never released because we weren't comfortable with releasing them.
They didn't portray the songs properly.
No. So we had those to go off of. We had to relearn them because we definitely didn't remember how to play them.
Right.
And then we also we don't really have a bass, like a full band even anymore. So like Johnny went and learned all the bass parts just from listening to the old demos and recorded those. Changed them a little bit, but mostly, yeah.
It's like some parts are faithful to the originals, like, and then other parts I just kind of like improvised and
that's kind of like the beauty of like doing it over again with these demos in the pocket is like you can appreciate the demos in the sense where like, okay, this didn't work on the track, so we can learn from this. It hasn't been released. This isn't something that we're necessarily embarrassed about because it's not shown to the public, but we can learn from this and kind of grow and do the things that we wanted to do that we didn't necessarily do the first time. That's awesome. It's great to hear.
Exactly. And then we just had something solid that we could release right away just to kind of get us back out there again before we start booking some shows.
Yeah. And so Alex, like you and I also go back a long time ago. Like you started playing in bands when I was in my first band. I think we had like metalcore bands at the time. You played in The Author, right?
Yeah, and like 4 other versions of that.
Even
of that band.
Early Gordon Bombay was like half The Author.
Oh, really?
There was original members of this band that were also in The Author before.
Yeah, Tyler was our original drummer.
Yeah.
And when we started, something new for him as well. And yeah, we go back a long time. We were playing in a lot of metalcore bands and, playing shows in St. Catharines, L3 a lot. Stuff
L3.
Like that. Yeah.
Which I think is a full blown nightclub now.
Yeah.
I've actually tried reaching out to them and be like, hey, can I do like a vlog of me like being like, hey, this is where I used to play when I was 16, and like zero dead ass no call, like they didn't fucking they didn't but
didn't the last show they ever did there like people destroyed it, right? Like it was like, didn't they put on it was like Dead Walk or something, and
that was 73.
Well, I know that's pretty famous, but like I remember there was like a metalcore show, some sort of hardcore show near the end of L3, and after that they were like, yeah, we're not doing shows anymore.
Oh, maybe that Comeback Kids show. There was a big Comeback show that like really shut it down with Madball that played, and
that might have been it.
Didn't something happen with In These Walls Fest too?
That was a long time before that.
Someone like smashed a window or something.
Yeah, a guy got kicked out and walked across the street and punched a hole through a car window and cut his. Man, there's still straight up. There's still a blood stain from that. Like it's on the street. It's nuts. Yeah.
Catherine
baked into that concrete for years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you had another project. I'm not sure if you're still playing it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
We were just actually listening to that earlier.
We also got back together a few years ago. After
it was around the same time that Gordon Bombay stopped playing.
Yeah, and put out a couple records. Broke up again and then come back together again. And we actually last year recorded a record we released a few singles. We haven't released the record. I don't know if we're gonna release it.
Sure.
We didn't really play all that much. Just kind of, wrote and recorded a record, and we'll see. I don't know. I'm sure eventually. I just like to, play with bands that
Break up.
Break up and get back together 900 times. So I'm sure at some point we'll release a record and maybe play. Everybody I'm in bands with is married with kids.
Yeah.
So
these things take time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. It is what it is, but glad to hear that you guys are still playing, and Dorian Gray goes way back.
I definitely saw Dorian Gray play my high school talent show. Chris DePardo was in the band.
Yeah. He still is. Well, if they were, he was in the most recent iteration as well.
Yeah. What a storied band.
The original title was A Picture of Dorian Gray, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was a picture of Dorian Gray, and then I think it was Chris Lavelle, who just was like, "That's a stupid fucking name. It's too long."
It's a decent movie, though.
Yeah, and then there was just like, yeah, okay. So that's how that happened. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know the original name.
Yeah, yeah. It was too long. So
Fair enough.
Dorian Gray stuck, and
if you guys would just move to Dorian.
Yeah, then we'd be fine. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, there was actually a lot of Dorian Grays, which caused us some trouble. Like we could. It was hard. There was a Dorian Gray from Texas that was really big for a while. So we could never play Texas because they were anytime they were touring through the States, booking shows in Texas was impossible because they were Dorian, of course. And then they would find out that we're not that Dorian Gray, and they'd be like, "Fuck you, you can't."
There's another Gordon Bombay out there too somewhere, because when we were not playing together, we kept getting, or I would get a notification through the Facebook of us being tagged on a show somewhere in the States. I'm like, that's not us.
This isn't us. Yeah, we got randomly just a whole bunch of
likes. Yeah, they had a really good show or something at one point. We got a bunch of likes out of it.
Yeah.
Actually, when I submitted everything, I got notified of another Gordon Bombay on Spotify.
Yeah.
And it's a mediocre rap duo.
Yeah, I don't think that was the one. There's probably multiple.
That's just Drew and I. We got bored.
Yeah.
And Drew. Obviously, you and I have go back way back.
Yeah.
You and for folks who probably are listening, you are the once radio host from 97.7, right?
Yeah.
You were
for a
Drew
while.
Haynes, the Drew Haynes.
Yeah, for sure. I did that for a couple of years, and then left radio when I started having kids because it's got no job security. Sure. So I was I need to get a job that I'm not going to get fired from randomly with no notice. So
what do you mean there's no work in radio?
Well, the thing with radio is, for one thing, it's hard to get work when you're newer because back in the day when people wanted to get radio experience, they would just take an overnight shift or something like that, but they don't do overnight shifts anymore because of voice tracking and recording. They don't need a physical person in there overnight anymore. So the place where the people that I worked with at Hits, where they got their start was I was living in Toronto and I started doing from midnight to 4 a.m. on Virgin. Wow. And then it's that shift's not available anymore.
No.
So you can really only get your experience by moving to buttfuck nowhere. They even told me at Hits FM, because I was part-time there for years. And they were we can give you full-time, but you've got to go somewhere else and work full-time first. You can't just jump right into a medium market. I was well, I've been working here part-time on air for 5 years. Isn't that more experience than 1 year and none of it full-time? You think at some point I've earned it. So, I couldn't do that for various reasons. For my family's here, for health reasons, I couldn't go out there. I've got specialist doctors and stuff in this area, so I was I can't do that. So if you guys aren't going to hire me full-time, I went to another station briefly and had the same issue there, and then just went back to school and got a new certificate in like a related field, so I wasn't completely thrown out that experience, and I've just been working in kind of different area of communications ever since.
Yeah, you had a podcast for a moment there, didn't you?
I did, yeah. We had pretty successful and through the radio station, which was kind of where I started Eye on Air, with Chris Biggs from Biggs and Bar. Mm-hmm. So I had a show with him that was doing really well, especially in the podcast numbers, for about 2 years, and then he moved out to Ottawa to work, yep. So that kind of ended. And yeah, I tried a couple of things here or there to get things going, but I never had the time or the idea, like the really good idea that I wanted to stick with to get it going. So and the thing is like, you know, this, like, once you have like a family and kids, you don't really have time for passion projects as much as you'd like. You know what I mean? Like, right. I can, but if it's not bringing in money, it's not really helpful to my life. Yeah. So even just like this is easy because it's like the band was already there. We weren't starting from scratch, right? So I had some. So that's pretty much what I got going right now, Gordon Bombay.
Yeah. So we touched on me kind of introducing Johnny in the band, doing the old bait and switch. We did talk about how you were a band a bit of a year ago. How did this kind of come back together again? Like you folks have always been friends. I know you guys have always been homies. What was the spark that lit the match?
Drew messaged me back in like November or December. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Hey, do you have those original demos from like way back?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still got those. Hang on." And like I dug them up and I sent them to him, and like I listened to them again. I was like, "Fuck, they weren't bad. Like those were some good tunes." And then he messaged me again. He's like, "Would you have any interest in jamming again?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" It's like always.
Yeah.
Like I cannot play enough music.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, it's like we messaged Alex, and we got Taylor.
He came down for one.
He came down for a jam, and that was it. He got his fill. Like, yeah, that's good.
That was fun, guys. See you later. We'll see you in another 5 years.
Yeah. So are you folks playing live shows nowadays?
I don't think so. Like, we are going to eventually, but not right away. We'll probably write some new music first, so we have something other than just the old stuff to play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd like to do something maybe by the end of the summer, but at the very least a live stream.
Yeah, that's always fun, and you're capable of doing that at Highfield
once the studio's set up. Yeah.
Now, it was the first, because my old band, I played in a band called Shook.
Yeah, we played with you a couple times.
Was that the first show you ever played?
No. We've been around a while at that point.
Okay, so you guys had a handful of shows in the pocket by then.
Yeah, for sure. No, we used to play at, we played, our first couple shows were always Mansion House. Like, for the first year or so, we played Mansion a lot. And then we played with you guys at Merch and Ale House. I think in Toronto as well. Didn't we do a show with you guys in Toronto?
Maybe, perhaps.
Oh, Hamilton, maybe? And then I played a show with Shook in Toronto, where I literally played bass for Shook for one show. And then you guys disbanded right after that, which
it was a bit of a mess.
It's probably pretty indicative of how good I did. It was either a high for them, and they're like, "Well, we can't do any better than that," or they're like, "Oh God, that was the worst show we've ever played."
Wow, this guy played our song so bad that we don't want to be a band anymore.
Do you remember the show that we played together? So you just mentioned it at Merch. Do you remember who did sound for that show?
I didn't meet him, but I found out afterward that it was Johnny.
It was Johnny.
I had no idea. He just told us. He's like, I didn't sound for that show. I was like, oh,
yeah.
All right.
I remember the sound was like, because the room isn't really like built for a show, right? It's just like it's a restaurant. So like we just rented a PA, and like I know that Johnny had a bit of a hard time trying to make the feedback work in that room. But like I remember that being a fun show. I actually remember specifically your guys' set and you guys killing it.
No, thanks. Yeah, I have the poster for that like somewhere in my house.
Oh, with the like Death Star or the Star Wars.
Yeah, it had a Death Star and it said,
Bull Mice, I believe.
Gordon Bombay. Yeah.
So you guys have the old tunes and you have
Yeah.
the demos that you could refer to.
Yeah.
What's it gonna be like writing new songs now that you have this? Like, is it gonna are you gonna try to reflect some of the old stuff that you've done, or are you just gonna kind of move forward and like let's just see what happens in a jam? Are you gonna do some guitar
Yeah.
noodling and just grow from there? Is there anything that you're gonna try and do specifically while writing a new Gordon Bombay song?
I don't know. We've all kind of had our own stuff too that we've been writing on our own since we've broken up. So I think we've all got some new stuff to bring to the table. Plus, we've all, matured and a lot has changed in what we write. Well, except for Johnny. We all have like some new. I don't know. I don't think it would sound anything like what we used to write, regardless, just because things have changed so much.
Yeah, I think we've all got sort of a collection of ideas.
Yeah.
And I doubt it'll sound the same. I think that was always sort of our thing. It was pretty unique sounding music,
Yeah.
and it was sort of just the way it happened. Maybe due to a little bit of inexperience when we sort of started writing together, because it was kind of came together pretty quickly at first as well, and I had never done anything like that. Drew,
I was in mostly pop punk bands. He was in mostly metalcore bands.
Heavy bands.
Yeah.
And, it was a new thing for us then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just sort of I was like, yeah, I guess I could play guitar and try and sing. And
It'll definitely evolve.
Yeah.
I was not a part of the writing process for the originals. I just kind of showed up and
He
songs
says
are
that,
there,
but
so-
the way the songs sound now since he's come on board is
they're a
completely
bit
different
They got that
than
Johnny
when we
taste.
wrote them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He completely changed them. He for sure changed the drums because the drums are completely different. He didn't ever hear the other player, the other drummer at all, so he just came up with new things kind of in that moment.
Except for one show that you did sound.
Yeah, except the show he did sound for, I guess.
I knew what not to play.
Yeah, no, I that's one of my favorite things about Johnny. Like we kind of touched on is you can throw him in the fire and he can play along. I mean, have you done I know that you've done karaoke nights. Have you ever done that live karaoke stuff where bands show up and they can do karaoke on the fly? If someone goes, "Hey, I want to do a Celine Dion song," they'll be and the band just knows it. I think they have a list of songs you can pick from.
If any of us could do that, it's Johnny.
It's
I've
Johnny.
done it twice,
It's Johnny.
Yeah.
but it's,
You've done it
both
twice.
times-
Yeah.
Both times I played drums, so I
Yeah.
mean, all I had to do was the boom da boom da boom da.
Yeah.
That's great.
I could do that if it was a very specific genre of music.
Yeah, it would have to be
karaoke.
God.
It's like Fall Out Boy karaoke.
Yeah, if it did an emo night karaoke, maybe I could make that happen.
Now, so the EP sounds great. We've had a chance to listen to it already. The folks at home have probably only been able to listen to Catalyst. Go listen to it if you've had the chance.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. It's got Flatliners vibes. I'm getting kind of Menzingers.
love that.
Yeah,
Drew, your
for
voice
sure.
kind of gives me Wonder Years kind of vibes too.
That's the one I always get.
Oh, really? You
weirdly
get that one
enough.
a lot,
You're not
eh?
the first person who said that, yeah. And also one of my favorite bands. So
Oh,
not
perfect. So
surprising.
it's. I was just gonna say, is that where that comes from? Is that where you
Yeah,
draw that
well,
from?
I come from a definite pop punk background. Every band I played in before this one was just straight up pop punk, and ours was always it's funny that the Catalyst is a single because that one's are mostly electric guitar pop punk power pop song.
I
Yeah.
think that one defines the sound the very least.
Yeah, exactly. If you listen to the rest of the album, it's not very indicative of what it sounds like with that song in particular, because that one's the most pop punk. Whereas
bright.
the other ones have a blend of both of our vocal styles, where he's doing the indie rock, softer and falsettos and stuff, and then I've got the angry pop punk vocals. So it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, my stuff mostly comes from I haven't done much music wise since Gordon Bombay, but the one band that I did play in briefly was a punk band what I was doing vocals for.
Are you still?
Yeah, The blend you guys are doing reminds me of like the blend you got in like Misser, if you guys remember that band.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just recently heard that it's not recently. The one person in that band
Passed away.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Misser was so good too.
Yeah.
That one album they got to put out,
Yeah.
Was amazing.
great stuff.
Well, I think it's the one dude from Transit and the other person from something else, and they just had songs in the pocket that they didn't want to release under those bands, so they were just
Transit
like,
rules.
boom,
Yeah.
Transit.
And
rules.
they'd have like the one dude just hitting like the like pitch perfect harmonies, and the other dude just going like so like throaty with his punk singing. Misser was sick.
Alex, is this one of the first projects you sang in? You didn't sing in Dorian Gray, did you?
No. No. Like backup vocals in like the later stuff.
Yeah.
But before that, yeah, that would be the first attempt at singing anything.
Oh, it's great.
Well,
You
he
know,
had
I
a good voice.
I
Like,
think you have a great voice. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
Alex and I
huh.
we'd been friends forever, but we'd
Yeah.
never jammed together. Like we just knew each other from, and then we were doing
like,
it
we did-
started. We were doing a show at a skate park that never happened,
Yeah.
where this guy had paid us to do like covers. Like he
Yeah.
wanted us to just bring acoustic guitars and do like punk and emo covers for like some event they were doing at the skate park. And then that show never happened for some reason. I don't know if his shop closed or what happened,
Oh,
but
Trevor. Oh,
Yeah.
there used to be this skate shop in... I forgot about that. There
Yeah.
used to be this skate shop in Niagara for like a long time called Anti-Gravity.
Yeah.
This guy I went to high school with, Trevor.
yeah.
Yeah, he would do this event every year at the skate park, and that was
So that's like how we started jamming together, because he's like, I need someone else to do these songs with me.
Yeah.
And he was singing, like we were both singing on that, and I was like, hey, our voices kind of sound cool together. We should do something, like start writing some stuff. And then he brought in Tyler from his old band, and I brought in my like childhood friend Andy, who I'd been jamming with since we were like 15, and that was like the original lineup of the band.
Yeah, we got together in a church in
Yeah.
Fort Erie.
Yeah, there was a
Sure.
we like literally like went into this church and used their sound, like they gave me a key. I don't know why, they just did. I asked, like, here you go. And we would just go in and use their sound system and like practice in there.
Yeah. It was all right. It was fun. It was like a new thing for all of us, kind of.
Yeah.
And we were sort of figuring out how to like write songs or those kinds of songs.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, and that's sort of just how it came together. I had just discovered open tuning, which was like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was like, I don't even know if that was like a decision that we made to mix like with him with an acoustic and me with an electric, or if it just kind of happened that way. Like, I don't think it was ever intended, but it kind of worked, because it went like the juxtaposition of the guitars together is the exact same as the juxtaposition of the voices together, right? Like you've got your indie acoustic, you've got your pop punk, and then you put the guitar from one with the guitar from the other and the voice from one and the other from the other, and make this like blend of, I don't know, I always say folk punk, but I don't even think it's that, because it's not like we're...
It's like an alternative.
Yeah,
folk,
like...
punk,
Yeah,
rock.
like...
Front bottoms. I get front bottoms.
Yeah,
we're
well,
talking-
Alex and I are both massive Front Bottoms fans.
Love
Yeah,
Front
that was
Bottoms.
like one that we bonded on early on.
Yeah.
Same with I was talking about, because he's wearing an Attack in Black shirt today. It's like that was another one like early on that we were both kind of emulating at the time.
Yeah.
So
We just touched on, actually, did you guys get a chance to listen to Monk, which was Ian and Dan Romano's like punk project that they just released?
no.
I actually have not.
Oh, dude, definitely check it out if you get a chance.
check
Super
it out.
cool.
For
I
sure.
only just found out who Dan Romano is today.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. Dan
Well, we were talking
Romano.
about him, and we were talking about that earlier, like literally before this conversation started.
Yeah.
We were talking, because remember when Indoor Shoes used to do the cover shows?
Yep.
So we did one of those where we did an Against Me set, like early
Cool.
on.
That's
That was like another big influence for Alex and I, and it was when Johnny first joined the band. It might have been the first show he did with us.
I love Against
think
Me.
Yeah, and he also liked it, so when Timmer from Indoor Shoes came to us, he asked us to do an Attack in Black set, and we wouldn't do it because we're like, they're local. Like, what if they show up? like, what if they see that they're being covered downtown and go, let's go check this out? Like that? No way. So we did Against Me instead.
Nice. You were instead of against me, you were against Attack in Black.
Yes.
Now,
love the band and would probably like really enjoy doing their set, but
could you do it nowadays? Could you do it if put your shoes in nowadays setting?
I don't think we'd necessarily do it badly. Like, I think we could do it justice. I just think I'd like, for one thing, Dan is so like easy to spot. You know what I mean? Like, he's got like he's had the same like signature look forever. Like, it's kind of hard to miss him in a crowd. Like, you still see him at shows occasionally. That I think I'd be like self-conscious if I noticed.
Yeah.
And not to say he'd even care. Like, maybe they don't fucking care at all. But like,
Drew, are you still doing stand-up?
Not so much anymore. Not because I wouldn't like to be. I do, like, I miss it a lot. And I do want to get back out there. But just for stuff going on in my personal life and stuff right now, I just don't have the time.
Right. It does take a lot of time.
Yeah. I miss it a lot. Like, almost more than music sometimes. So, which was, like, a big thing that when I stopped being in Gordon Bombay, I went, like, full on into the stand-up scene.
Yeah.
And arguably found way more success in that than I ever did in music. So I would have liked to keep doing it. I just don't have the time anymore. It's one of those things that, like, when I was single and out doing it, and like, I was out doing shows like 2 or 3 a week, like hopping in on open mics and practicing, and I don't have the time to go. Like, it takes even more commitment to being in a band, because you can't just go and practice in a basement somewhere with a PA you bought, right? Like, you need to get in front of an audience to write, to practice. So it's tough, but I miss it like a lot. And I think when my kids are older, I'll probably get back out there if I'm not old and decrepit by then.
Would any of the other members, either you, Johnny, or Alex, would you ever take a stab at stand-up? Is that something that you have any interest in?
I tried to get Alex to do it. He used to come to shows all the time.
I used to go to a lot of Drew's shows.
Right.
I would do it.
Yeah.
I would do it for sure.
Yeah.
I would fucking bomb, and it would be.
Supposed to do.
I used to go to so many Drew's. Yeah, like he would just like he. One time I walked across the street. I used to work at a hotel in the Falls, and I literally walked across the street and saw him at this fucking, I don't even know what it was. It was like before weed was legal, and it was a place where you could just like smoke weed inside. I don't really know.
What is that place called? It's like it was a shop like on the corner of Highway 420 and Victoria.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, it was one of those things that I was like, I don't know how this is happening. Like, you
Really
walk
not
in
sure.
and they're selling weed over the counter, and they're smoking weed in there.
Yeah.
But it was before it was legal, so I was like, what's going on? Like, why is this allowed to just
Where's
exist?
the loophole?
Yeah,
It was fucking weird, and it was literally down the street. Like, the police station is around the corner. It's so fucking close. And like, it was literally directly across the street from the hotel.
Like, I think it's supposed to be to sell to people that can get it for medical reasons. But
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I
pretty sure
walked
so.
up and bought some from the guy, like halfway in the middle of the show.
Just
Like,
show your
like
ID
they're not. Yeah, exactly. So, but like yeah, those shows were weird because like, you think like, oh man, telling jokes to stone people, that must be so easy. It's like, in a
not.
way, yes, but then when they enjoy your joke, it's like, for one thing, it's like 30 seconds after the punchline, and then all you get out of them is like a
They're just like a
fucking
Ephesians
fucking
laugh.
laugh.
yeah.
It was I used to go to a lot of his stand up.
Yeah.
We also lived together at that time.
Yeah.
So basically, like, I would just see you do it.
Yeah.
24/7.
And you were like, at that point, seeing me workshop material, so you're watching me do the same stuff every single time.
Yeah.
Like I play, like, when I look at the bands that I've played with compared to the comedians that I've performed with, I definitely had a more successful comedy career than music career.
You did some big shows.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
You performed at Showtime, right?
Yeah, I did Showtime a lot. That club kind of opened out when I was like 2 or 3 years into it, so it was like perfect timing. But yeah, like weirdly enough, I did a couple big Toronto shows, like I never went on any like big tours or anything like that, but I was always like, when a tour would come through Niagara at the time, I was one of the like go-to people for a lot of them. So I opened for like Jackass people, I opened for Broken Lizard, Kenny and Spenny. Like I just kind of did all these like huge tours as they came through like the GTA and Niagara. So and yeah, and it was great, and always great fun shows. I really do miss it.
I only bring up Showtime because actually I don't know if you recently saw this, because your guys' EP is coming out the same month that I got an email about the goalie from the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, Goldberg.
Wait.
Yeah, we gotta get a printed.
Wait, is he?
He's we gotta get him to like sign something. For
Is he like at Showtime?
Yeah,
Coming to Showtime.
Does he do
He might.
stand-up?
I don't know. Is he coming to the club or is he coming to the store? Because Showtime owns a store in the mall now.
What?
And they do signings in there. So I don't know
Okay.
if he's actually doing like a performance where he comes and tells stories like the wrestlers do, or if
Right.
it's just a signing.
Isn't he like?
He's
A
clean.
crackhead?
He's clean.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he went through a dark
Yeah.
spiral.
Yeah.
He had a tough
Couple,
time.
couple years ago, there was some headshots, some mug
There's
shots
a couple of
online.
shots floating around.
Yeah, yeah. That would be perfect, like to promo the album, to go out there and say,
But, like,
hey,
how-
our band's called Gordon Bombay.
And like, of course, the age-old question. Of course, if you haven't figured it out by now, Gordon Bombay, he's the coach from
Yeah.
the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
How did you pull that name? Was it just a movie you guys were watching one night and said,
I
hey,
honestly think we were watching the movie, and
Yeah.
like one of us was like, Gordon Bombay would be a sweet name for a band.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, yeah. It's just like,
Yeah, pretty much. It was, yeah. And then just
Yeah,
took
then
it
it
in
was.
there. I
rolled
think it
with
was
it.
me, you, and Andy.
Yeah, I
So
think we were hanging out.
We were like at Andy's
Yeah.
parents or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just watching Mighty Ducks.
Just a couple of grown men watching Mighty Ducks together. Nothing weird about that. Yeah.
do you prefer the
sense.
first one over the second one? What's your take?
I think I like the second one more than the first one, if I'm being honest.
100%.
The second one's pretty good. Yeah, it's close though. It's a slight edge.
Yeah.
There was a slew of sequels in like that era where like they
Yeah.
were just a little bit better than the first one. Like
Yeah.
I really like the second Wayne's World. That's a good
Yeah.
movie. Like it's
Yeah,
not
that's good.
like Ace Ventura 2. That you
Ace
can't
Ventura.
go wrong with Ace
My
Ventura
unpopular
2.
opinion, I love Lost World. People are like, oh, they
Lost
Jurassic
World,
Park
yes.
3. I love Lost World. I don't care what anybody says. People say it's bad. I'm like, I maybe because like I was 6 when Jurassic Park came out, but I
Yeah.
was like 9 or 10 when Lost World came out, so I think that one just hit me harder.
Toy Story 2?
Toy Story 2 is the best Toy Story.
Yeah.
I will fight anyone on that.
No, I agree. Big agree.
T2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
T2, but yeah,
Wow.
Aliens.
Yeah, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
the second's all,
these
like the
sequels,
second one's good.
There was just an era where like they
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I don't think I can get behind that one.
That's a big take.
It's a sick movie.
No, I think I hit all the bases that I wanted to hit with you guys. Is there anything that you folks wanted to talk about other than I've more than the record? Summer Nights is coming out at the end of June. If you folks
Yeah.
haven't, you guys have a release date for that, right?
Yeah, the 30th.
June
30th.
Yeah.
Friday, June 30th, the album comes out. It'll be streaming everywhere. Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube's, and Amazon Music's, and
And is there can we I know this is gonna be new to the public. A lot of these tunes, I've heard these tunes. Back when I brought Johnny to the jam
Yeah.
originally.
Yeah.
So they're going to be new to the public. But is there going to be plans for maybe a second release now that we have, Johnny working at Highfields and him getting the studio up? Is there going to be more frequent releases, or are we going to get another 5-year hiatus?
No, I think we definitely have ideas for. We're going to be recording new stuff while we're writing it, but not releasing that for a while. But we were also talking earlier about doing acoustic versions or something, maybe
Fun.
with some acoustic video or something with just the 3 of us doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the technology is there nowadays, right? Like we can all do we're doing things from our I'm I'm using my phone right now to like.
So
that's how. This is how we do this. Like, you could totally make music videos, and like it's absolutely functional. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see you folks fucking keep pumping it out, because I've always been a fan of your music, and the fact that we can finally celebrate it together publicly is something that everybody should be looking forward to. And you guys did tease a little bit of a live stream. Was that something you said earlier?
Yeah, I think we want to do it eventually. We'll probably just do it from this room.
Cool.
Find someone to play bass.
If not this room, it'll be one of the first things we do out of the basement studio for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll then just go listen to The Catalyst right now. Like,
Right now,
click
today.
the link. Go listen to it.
Today.
It's available.
It's a good song.
It's a banger.
Was there anything inspired behind that tune when you wrote it back then, or?
Oh.
What was your thought process 5 years ago?
Yeah, no, that's
who's
when
that
I'm
song
talking
about?
about.
Who's that song
When I'm
about?
talking about maturing as people, and I mean, I've been in the same relationship and have children with the woman I love. That song is not about a woman I love. It's a woman I did once have.
It's a made up story. It's not about.
No,
anybody.
it's not. It's not about anybody
It's
in
not about
particular.
anybody.
No, don't look into that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's about someone.
Or any of the other songs on the EP.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with anybody.
You know what? That one's the most obvious, I think.
That one's a pretty obvious one. Yeah, I think if you probably.
If you knew me 5 years ago, you know who it's, or 6 years ago, I guess. Then you probably know what it's about.
About those summer nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
No, I like that song's so funny because like we were talking about it while we were recording it, and like it just gets angrier and angrier like, each line. Like it's like that whole song is just the de-evolution of a relationship, and yeah. So yeah, that's a fun one to talk about.
Well, definitely go check out Catalyst. Yeah. No, it's great catching up with you folks. I'm glad that we've been able to do this. It's so good to see all three of you. And keep your eyes peeled for Gordon Bombay live stream that may be hitting your interwebs soon. Anything else you guys want to plug?
Jeez. So much.
Where do I start?
Did you say cheese, or you're plugging?
I thought he said cheese too.
I want to plug cheese.
Yeah, just go get some cheese, guys. It's real great.
What's your favorite cheese, Johnny? What's your favorite cheese?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What's up with you?
Oh fuck! I don't discriminate. If it's moldy, I'll eat it.
Damn, I like that.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Is everyone on board with blue cheese here? We got some blue cheese haters.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a hater. I'm a bit of a hater.
I'm a fan of blue cheese.
You order
I like a blue
restaurants,
cheese
right?
dip, but I don't like a
Yeah.
crumble.
Yeah.
you not serve blue
Italian
cheese?
restaurants though. No, they don't mess with the blue cheese.
Exclusively.
I think I gotta go brie. I like a sweet cheese, like with some jam and a little
good.
and a
Nice.
toasted
Brie.
baguette slice. Yeah.
There
That's
you
all
go.
right. I'm
Go
gonna go.
brie.
I'm gonna go pecorino. Pecorino Romano.
You know what's funny?
Pecorino.
Pecorino Romano.
I don't think that's a real cheese.
Pecorino
real.
Romano,
It's
of
real.
course. Dan Romano's cousin, Pecorino Romano.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
It is a real cheese. Look
It
it
is
up.
it is a pretentious made up cheese.
It's not made up. It's real, and I love it.
Do you
It's
serve it
good.
in your
You guys are
restaurants?
gonna change your minds. You're gonna change your minds. I'll bring you. I'll bring you some.
Bring us
I'll
a
bring you
little
some.
wheel
I'll
of
bring you
pecker.
some. Yeah. I'll
You just
probably
get
not a
these
whole
show.
wheel.
You're like, here it is. It's just your dick.
Here's the cheese.
Hey, I'm like, oh no, he got me again.
That's not a good. That's not a good.
It's that thing he always does.
I don't want to call it the cheese.
Yeah, don't associate cheese with that, man.
Yeah, that's not.
Not a good time.
Yeah, no.
Go to a doctor.
Those shouldn't be in the same sentence at all. Yeah, and then on that note, I think we can end it.
Yay!
All right, man. That was fun.
Thanks for having us.
And there you have it, folks. That was a great interview with our friends and Gordon Bombay. We got to the nitty gritty. We got into the bare bones of the band, how it started, the name, all that fun jazz. Now, before, if you haven't already, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, of course, at Bandecdotes. And we're going to end with our weekly recommendations. Tyler, what do you have prepped up for me this week? I want to hear what you've been jamming.
Yeah, record I forgot existed until a little earlier today, actually, and then I jammed the whole thing. So there was this band called 40 Winters. I can't remember exactly where they're from. But at the time of recording this podcast, they only have 69 monthly listeners on Spotify. This is a low-key ass band from way back in the day. The album I'm recommending is called Reflections. It's from 2011. This band was just like a super ferocious metalcore band. They had like the speed and thrashiness of a band like Darkest Hour, but like the like doom and gloom and like slowness at times even of a band like Acacia Strain. Their drummer was crazy. Their vocalist is really, really gnarly. I remember just like being totally in love with this band when I first discovered this record, and I basically forgot about it until today. So I decided that's what I'm recommending.
Nice. I love that. I'll definitely jump into that. 40 Winters with their release Reflections. Awesome. Now my weekly recommendation. I've been listening to a lot of Prof. I don't know if you're familiar with the rapper Prof. He is off the Rhyme Saviors label from my homies. They're not homies. One of my all-time favorite acts from Atmosphere. They kind of run that Rhyme Saviors label. Prof is like this tongue-in-cheek rapper. He is very self-aware. He can spit bars, but he's also like he can deliver punchlines. And his record Pookie Baby, it came out a couple of years ago. This isn't a new record. He just put a new record out that it's okay. It's not my weekly recommendation. I'm going to recommend Pookie Baby by him. Some of the tracks on there, like Andre the Giant and like the opening track, are absolutely ridiculous, but they also are like hype and they get you really fun. Definitely couldn't recommend Prof anymore. That's just Prof from the Rhyme Sayers label. Definitely check out his release, Pookie Baby.
And guess what? That's going to do it. I want to thank you guys for sticking around. I want to thank Gordon Bombay for coming on the show. And if you're watching us here till the very end, I'm hoping you didn't skip through. I'm hoping you watched all the way through. And if you did, I love you.
I'm running on this money like time. If that ass is calling me, you know it gets declined. I don't fuck with people who don't give me peace of mind. So go tell that hating bitch to stop trying to make my line. Perfect buckets, final quarters, crossing tax brackets like orders. If it's money